So about a year ago, I started working on this. This is the maze from The Shining. This is one of the mazes, one of 3 mazes actually from The Shining. This is for the most part the one that was advertised as the one that they went into. So this is the most utilized and most accurate of the mazes. The reason I did this in the first place is, one, I love The Shining. A couple of years back I had watched on Tested, Adam Savage from Mythbusters. He did a build of his own of a large maze from The Shining that now travels in the Stanley Kubrick traveling museum. His is obviously to scale, it's very large, it's very well done. So I got that inspiration and I made my own maze, and I will walk you through the process of how I did it. This was actually designed purposely to be 24 by 36 so I could put this on my wall. I could pretty much put it in a frame that I already had, hanging on my wall, no glass, no nothing. Again, it's not perfect. I made a lot of mistakes, but I think the overall end result came out pretty well. But I'll show you the process of how I did it. I'll show you some close-ups of it, and yeah. Any questions, comments, please leave them so that I can answer them.
So first thing I did was printed off the map itself. After I gridded it out and did some math, I found out what kind of wood I was going to use and then made a map, grid, and then started tracing out the maze. And just as long as I had the wood available, I started cutting the wood to the size of the maze and started connecting the dots, connecting the pieces, gluing them together with wood glue. And as you can see, all the wood for the most part is all the same size except for the exterior. The very outside wall was a different size wood than the interior, and then a few other pieces. Some of the pieces I made myself, and again you can see the wood glue in there. I would glue it and sand it, and each piece was kind of molded, if you will, in wood. And as I progressed, I started to build more details. You can see the, I don't know what you call them, the pinnacles, little diamonds on top. Those were actually made out of clay. And then I spray painted everything green so that once I started to flock it, as you can see, it all kind of became one. And what I used was Mod Podge for the most part to glue. When it dries, it goes clear. Works really well. And a little brush. Here's the flock I bought. I think I got it from Hobby Lobby. A little bit goes a long way. So I used most of this container, but I still had plenty left over. This was how it looked after the flocking was for the most part done. I still had to get some of the corners and obviously glue it to the wood still. There's definitely lots of pieces of the flock that were not sticking very well, so I had to go back quite a few times and kind of perfect it. But even when it was finalized, a lot of the flocking still came off. I understand you're supposed to heat it or cook it. I did not cook it. I did not heat it up in any way. I just pretty much brushed off the excess and left it. And because I was so rough with it, I think for the most part what stayed on stays on. So I think I did just fine, but we'll see how it holds up over time. And once I felt it was time to start gluing, I stained the wood, protecting it, and then started gluing all the pieces down little bit by little bit. First I put it down, all the pieces down, measured it all out, made sure it was all centered, and then started taking each piece up one at a time and gluing it. And then once it was all glued down, I took these little seats that I made out of wood and painted white, and the seats went on the inside of the maze. And then another important step was finishing the flocking. So after I had it glued together, I had a lot of corners that needed to be flocked. And I found somebody on Etsy that did real small little plaques. So I ordered a small plaque that said the Overlook Maze and put that at the bottom.